Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be taking a first look at a brand new game which comes out in just a couple of days called Panzer Corps II. It's a new game that is being published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. It's the sequel to the 2012 Panzer Corps I, which itself was very much a spiritual recreation of the old Panzer General series by SSI. Now, since 2012, there have been a lot of these sort of turn-based Panzer General-like games that have come out. It seems like there's a new one coming out every other month. But I do think that, Panzer Corps originally probably did the best job of creating that Panzer General-like experience, from the user interface to the look and feel. It felt very much like Panzer General 1. Perhaps with the exception that the maps felt a little bit constrained, a little bit small, and at times lacking in sort of the epicness that especially the maps of like Barbarossa really hit home. Panzer General 2 is taking a bigger approach. There are more units, the maps are definitely larger, they've sort of amped up the graphical quality behind the game, as well as sort of abandoned some of that old 90s mystique sort of feeling of the UI and the general texture layout, to make this feel like a much more modern game. Now, that may be up some people's alleys. It may be something that other people feel, loses a little bit of the charm of the game. But regardless of your opinion on that, I do think it's worth taking a look at, because, again, this is a brand new game. It comes out on March 19th. It'll be available on Steam and also directly through Matrix and Slytherin's websites. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start a new series with this. We did a little bit of a preview look all the way through the invasion of France with a preview build that they gave us a month ago, but that was an incomplete version of the game. So I now have the press review build. It's 1.01, which I assume will be very similar to the release, and so let's go ahead and jump in and see what that's all like. Now, you obviously you have multiple options on how to play. There's a tutorial, but since I've already played several hours of the preview build, I don't think there's a need to do that for me. There's a campaign, scenarios, and there's also random scenario generators. You do have the ability to play these scenarios multiplayer from either side against human opponents, and then there is an editor for creating your own stuff as well. But we're just going to jump straight into the single-player campaign. We're going to play the Poland 1939 campaign. There is a 41 Barbarossa campaign, a North Africa 41 campaign, which we also showed a little bit of in a separate series, and then a Kursk in Italy in 1943. But I think if we do the 1939 Poland campaign, that's going to be the most interesting. Actually, you get a little bit of a write-up down here. So Poland has 20 to 23 scenarios. Barbarossa has 14 to 17. North Africa is 14 to 17. Kursk is 7 to 8. And Italy is 7 to 8. So the 43 scenarios, you obviously have a lot fewer scenarios. I know there's, I think, 61 scenarios altogether, battles that you can play through. I'm assuming the 20 to 23 length, campaign length, is how many you actually play, because a lot of scenarios give you multiple options. So, for example, Poland, you can either do a northern Poland invasion route or a central Poland or southern Poland invasion route. So those are two different scenarios. I would assume that would only count toward one in terms of campaign length. So that's why, even though there might be 60 battles in the game, you might only have 46 of them to play from the Poland scenario and whatnot. But we'll see. We'll do Poland 39, 1939 to 1945 is campaign length 20 to 23. We're going to do, I think we'll do general difficulty. I want to do the medium difficulty, although I'm not very good, so we'll see how this all plays out. Looks like general difficulty gives you a 30% prestige hit. Colonel is the default level. Well, maybe I should play Colonel, because I'm not very good at that. I don't know. Yeah, East Prussia looks a little bit weird. It doesn't look quite like I remember it looking on a map, but I'm not exactly a mapologist. Alright, we'll try to do general. Although I'm generally bad at managing my... If the only difference between Colonel and General is prestige... slightly more challenging level intended for veteran players of Panzer Corps series who have just started their careers in Panzer Corps II. Honestly, we'll just go with Colonel. If the only difference is the prestige, I'd rather have a little bit more prestige to play with. It's not like the AI is going to be any different based off the description here. So we'll go ahead and play Colonel. We'll go ahead and Poland 39. As a newly minted general in the German Wehrmacht, it falls upon you to spearhead the German invasion of Poland and provide your mettle in combat. Always choose your avenue of assault wisely, as future decisions will dramatically impact your campaign and even the course of the war. Strategic warning. More close quarters combat and sieges in the southern route, more mobile and open ground warfare in the northern route. So we can go with Poland North, which is sort of the drive. I think Danzig is even in the battle, or maybe not, but you go through the northern route or the southern route, which is into the heart of Poland. Now, in our first playthrough or preview of the game, we did the northern route, so we haven't shown the southern route on the channel yet. So I think we're going to go ahead and do the Poland South route for that reason. It does warn us that there's more close quarters combat and sieges in the southern route, which probably means artillery and infantry is more important in this battle than in the north, where you might want more armor. I'm just deducing based off the description of the battle, but I could be wrong. I'm always more of an infantry and artillery kind of guy anyway. But we'll see. As we wait for this to load, I hope everybody's staying healthy and avoiding COVID-19. I was saying earlier that if I got it, I probably got it the other day at the grocery store. That place was a madhouse. Okay, so here we go. We have to name our character, so we'll just go with the Butcher. Because... oh, no, I guess we'll go with Von Butcher. In terms of my strengths, I get to use 2 selections. Now, different in terms of perks, there's also penalties that you can take. So in terms of the perks, I can be an infantry general, a panzer general. So infantry general, infantry units are cheaper. Panzer general, armored units are cheaper. Industry connections makes units more available, like prototypes. Liberators gives you more prestige, which is, again, kind of ironic from a German perspective. Liberator, really? Deep Recon gives you more accuracy on the map. Operational Initiative gives you more initiative. I don't really know how the initiative works. Master of Blitzkrieg gives your armor more movement across minor rivers and things like that. Battle Academy gives you better prestige growth. Auxiliary Force gives you an additional auxiliary slot. Trophies of War, more captured equipment. Deadly Grasp, Encirclement, enemies suffer more penalties. Flexible Command, splitting of units does not consume unit slots. I never really split units, so I don't know. Start the game with 3 additional heroes, anti-air veteran, or perimeter control. I think I will go with the Battle Academy, because more experience is important, I think. It does cost 2, though, so you can see it uses up my selections down there. Now, I could get more points, for example, if I wanted to try and get Panzer General, and I wanted, you know, the ability to have more tanks. I could take some penalties here, so I could do like bad luck, which would give me one thing back here, which means that basically combat results can never be better than predicted, as opposed to, you know, sometimes they can be better than predicted. Now, presumably they can be worse than predicted, so it's a penalty of 1. Trench log, slow modernization, fear of the unknown. A lot of these things are pretty impactful. Enemy units can freely move through zones of control. That's a huge negative penalty. It probably hurts your ability to surround people. Inefficient supply. Their supply is reduced. Chaotic fire, less accurate. Poor maintenance, breakdowns. Delayed reinforcements means you can't reinforce in the middle of the battle. Like, some of these are huge penalties. Limiting elite reinforcements is a big penalty. Retrograde. Honestly, I don't know if I want to do any of these. Inept logistics was... a challenge for me, although actually a 10% core slot penalty might not be the end of the world, considering I typically have trouble building up to the core slots. You know, honestly, I'm just not even going to do any negatives. I have no weaknesses. I'm just going to take the Battle Academy prestige perk. I don't know what my portrait should be. I don't know who any of these German generals are. Ooh, shadowy figure. I'll be shadowy figure number 2.
Guten Morgen, Herr General.
Ah, voice acting!
My congratulations on your new promotion. No time for flattery. I have been personally informed that the invasion of Poland, codenamed Fall Weiss, is to commence immediately. Preliminary estimates for the operation's completion was 3 months. But now High Command demands the conquest of Poland in weeks. Mere weeks. Transfer the detachment of 10th Army's forces to be placed under your direct command, effective immediately. These men are well trained, but like you, they lack combat experience. I am certain they will serve you well, and that you will mold your new Panzer Corps as you see fit in due time. You should secure key crossings on the Vada River quickly, to facilitate your movements and prevent the enemy from fortifying the river line or possibly destroying the bridges entirely. I have also been informed that our declaration of war will be, arriving later. So, you should expect little, if any, resistance in the first few days of your advance. In fact, should you seize Kielce quickly enough, your forces may be able to block Polish mobilization efforts entirely. This would force the understrength Polish garrisons in the region to fight without reinforcements. I eagerly await to see the results of your first combat operation. Don't make me regret putting my trust in you, Herr General.
Okay. I always enjoyed the voice acting in the original Panzer General, and I still think there's something that's a little bit better about Panzer General versus the Panzer Corps I stuff. Panzer Corps I felt a little too aristocratic in its voice, but I still enjoy the voice acting. So it looks like we need to take Kielce very quickly if we want to limit their ability to get reinforcements. You can see here the map we have. This is a more narrow map. It's not quite as big as some of the later maps. This is a little bit smaller. But you can see here there are several key objectives. We need to take this bridge up here in the north. We need to take Radom, the Polway Bridge, and Kielce. So we've got 4 objectives. This is the Poland South scenario. There's sort of one major advance, I guess 2 major advance routes. There's 2 bridges, one in the south, one in the north. The one in the north we have to take. There's also an airfield up here, so we probably want to take it to help expand our air cover to the east. But Kielce attacking that quickly sounds like it's an important thing to limit their reinforcements. So I think what we'll probably do is we'll probably swing the armor north to drive on the bridge up there. We'll move a lot of the infantry south since this bridge is closer and the terrain is a little bit more direct, and so movement penalties should be less. Obviously, we'll send probably 1 or so infantry unit to the north or something like that. We'll see. Okay, so this is 15 turns. We have 15 turns to capture all 4 objectives. Now, the one thing I wish the game would do would give you a little bit more information about the minor objectives. Like, if taking Kielce quickly is a minor objective, how quickly is quickly, right? Like, because it obviously wants me to take it before the end of the battle, but then what qualifies as taking it quickly enough so that there's no reinforcements that come? That I'm not sure about. We can see initially that there's 1 Polish cavalry unit here to the north, and that's the only enemy unit that we have in detection. We can't purchase any new units. We're already at our maxed core allotment, so you get 36 core slots that you can use in a given battle, and it looks like we start with the maximum filled out. That's both good and bad. It's good in the sense that I don't have to spend my 600 prestige on new units. It's bad in that I don't have a lot of flexibility on sort of optimizing my force. You can see on the top here, there's a couple of different tooltip menus. It's a much less intrusive UI than Panzer Corps I. Panzer Corps I looked like it was literally ripped right from Panzer General I. You can see you can purchase units up here, so we can purchase Bridge Pioneers, Cavalry, Pioneers, Wehr Infantry, and Grenadiers. Bridge Pioneers help you cross bridges more effectively. We have various tank units available to us. The Panzer 38 is probably the best tank that we have early war. I believe it was made in Czechoslovakia at the Skoda Works, but we, again, don't have any slots for which we can purchase new units or anything like that. So, you know, you can see the different options, the different units that we can purchase, and that all changes. I like that the icon for the strategic bomber is the B-17, especially when we're playing as Germany. But they didn't really have strategic... Well, they had strategic bombers. They just weren't 4-engine heavies. All right, so again, I have no idea how quickly you're supposed to take Kielce. I wish it told me, but that's probably something we should focus on doing quickly. So since I already have all my units, I can zoom in a little bit here. We know that the enemy cavalry is up north here. I'm going to use my recon car to kind of drive out forward and try and recon the area a bit. You can see here we picked up on some Polish infantry here on the south on this objective, so that may threaten our flank a little bit. And then we can see they have some anti-tank guns along the bridge here on the road to Kielce. So we've got 2 artillery units, the 9 Sturmpanzer and the 75mm 8th 7.5 centimeter FK-16NA. Mech infantry counts as 1 or 2. It depends. So when you do buy transport for your infantry, it uses more more core slots. But it's not strictly speaking like 1 versus 2. Usually an infantry unit might be like 3 core slots, giving them like some form of transport might be 4 core slots, and maybe even mechanized might be 5. But it depends on the unit and the size and all those other things. All right, so I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit these enemy troops at, what is this town? It doesn't even tell me what this town is. Oh, I don't even want to try and pronounce that, but it's along a minor river. So let's move our infantry forward here. Actually, wow. So I'm guessing this is because it's still a surprise attack, but you can see we get a massive infantry attack bonus against this enemy anti-tank gun. So I'm just going to move the infantry forward here and see if we can just drive it back. It was a little bit laggy there. That's weird. Nowhere near the estimated casualties. Can these guys get up far enough? No, they can't. That can't finish them off either. All right, we'll try and drive these guys back. All right, so we did drive them back. Then my armor can pursue. The 5th Panzers can rush after them. They'll seize that objective and the bridge. And we overran the enemy there. So overrun is good. It means you can move more units. It's bad in this case in the sense that I can't move more units because we've already moved. All right. So now that we've destroyed that unit, we can bomb here for 2 or bomb for 4. We've also got this DO-17Z, which is another strategic bomber, which does suppression damage. So, for example, one of the things to keep in mind with this game is there's 2 different types of damage you can do. When you hover over a unit and you see a little blue number here, that's how much suppression damage you do. When you click on a unit here, you'll see their strength is 15 out of 15. Their suppression is currently 0. Every suppression that the enemy takes reduces the amount of effective strength they have. So if this has 5 suppression, then even though they have 15 strength, they'd only fire back with 10. So that represents sort of getting shell-shocked or other things like that that reduce the unit's effectiveness. That being said, suppression recovers between turns, and so that's something you have to kind of manage. So even though strategic bombers don't cause a lot of actual casualties, they can cause a lot of suppression. The other thing with air units here is they're fixed to an airbase, so these guys will return to this airbase at the end of every turn, and they can only fly a certain distance away from the airfield, which is kind of cool, but because it requires you to play the game in a way that, like, oh, you need to consider taking additional airfields further forward in the front to make sure that that you're adequately supporting your advance. So I'm going to send the Stuka up north here against this enemy cavalry here on our flank. We'll do a little bit of damage there. I can't move the air unit again, so I'm going to go ahead and move the 4th. Actually, let's move the 2nd C Panzers up here. It says 1 to 5. Maybe we'll drive them back? No, we didn't. All right, well, I'll move. I was really hoping we could support the attack down here. All right, we'll go for 0 to 3. I'm just trying to drive them back so I can hit them with another air unit. Okay, so we drove them back there. So now I can move my fighters up here and strafe them. They're nearly destroyed. I could finish them off with infantry up there. First thing I want to do, actually, though, is move down here. Use my artillery to support this advance. Move the artillery down here. I'm really focused on clearing my flanks. Let's go here and suppress these guys. Move my infantry to the south. We drove them back. Drove them back again. Strafed him, but didn't kill him. So it's a pretty good result. Our armor moved north. We're probably going to move one of these infantry units north as well toward this other bridge here. But I think we made good progress on the first turn here. We took a objective over the river here, and so we are now have a straight shot to Kiels. Again, I don't know how quickly I have to take it. That's all of my units right now. Everybody's moved. Everybody's attacked. We destroyed one anti-tank unit here that was on this bridge objective. We drove an infantry unit out of this town here, which we'll take next turn, and we nearly destroyed both a cavalry and an infantry unit sort of in the north and the south. And so that's going to do it for this turn. We'll move forward to turn number 2. We'll see what the Polish have in store for us. We can see whoa, quite a bit of damage inflicted on us by that tactical bomber unit there. Meanwhile, a counterattack by enemy cavalry does some damage to our armor. An infantry counterattack, a recon unit counterattack against our infantry coming down from the north also does quite a bit of damage here. These armored cars. Okay, so I finished off that infantry unit there. Alright, so... Can the recon unit take that objective? It can, so we get the prestige for that. Then I can drive the recon unit north to protect our flank there. Also, we'll finish off this enemy cavalry unit, destroy it. We overrun it, so then we get to move again. So we'll move forward here. Looks like there's an anti-tank gun on our flank in the north there. Our Stuka is probably going to be better against... Well, actually, it's going to be equally good against both cavalry and anti-tank. I want to get to kills quickly, so I think the key is to kind of keep pressing on here. Go ahead and bomb this cavalry. Go ahead and use our armor, hopefully to drive this guy back. We did. Our infantry can pursue over the top. Then we can attack this cavalry here. We finished it off. Now our armor can race ahead to Kielce. I didn't want to go too far ahead to get overextended, but we're getting very close to that first objective here. Alright, meanwhile, these guys need to reinforce. They're not really good experienced yet, so... Move the artillery forward as well. It's not going to be able to... Oh, shit. Can I undo that? Yeah. I didn't want to move it in a way where it couldn't unlimber. I don't want it to stay mounted up on wagons, so we just moved it there. A little bit uneasy about this anti-tank gun on my flank. Move this armor around here, so now we should be able to surround this enemy anti-tank car very quickly. We'll move... Who do we want to move? We'll go and suppress this enemy recon vehicle there. Gives us 1 to 3, so we drove him back. They're down to 2 strength. Well, maybe we can strafe and destroy it with our air cover as it moves into the swamp. We did! Nice! That's a good result, although I didn't actually deal with the enemy tactical bombers. Oh, wait, I still have 1 BF-109, so I'll go ahead and hit these guys. So we inflict 6 casualties on the enemy bomber. That should make them much less effective next turn. And we should be able to continue pressing forward. Picking on the Poles? For shame. Well, it's the beginning of the campaign there, Ben. Are you guys back yet, or are you still overseas? Are you in self-quarantine? All right, so that does it, I think, for this turn. Do we have anybody else? You got back. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I was a little bit concerned with everything going on that you guys were going to get stranded there, so I'm glad you guys were able to get back. Must have been pretty stressful. All right. Last flight out of Amsterdam before the restrictions hit. Now, the restrictions are only supposed to prevent, like American citizens can still get back, right? All right, let's go ahead and... we'll go with the cheap replacements, because, again, these guys don't have a ton of experience to begin with. They fought, like, 1 battle. So, as long as I can be effective with my prestige, or efficient with my prestige, I want to do that. I think that pretty much ends the turn, though. Let's take a look at what else hasn't moved. No, everybody's moved. Okay. So, moving on to turn number 3. Alleycat, I'm pretty sure the restrictions, according to the wording of everything, is it's restricting foreign nationals from coming in, and then American citizens can still come back. Now, that being said, it might be hard to find a flight. All right, so we'll go finish off this enemy tactical air unit here. We'll shoot it down. There's another enemy air unit up here, but I want to make sure I'm also leaving sufficient strength for my... Ah, shit, I can't reach these guys, and I don't have a new airfield yet, so I can't actually reach the front that I've advanced to. I've overrun my my air cover. Okay. Alright, let's move this recon car forward here so we've got better eyes on the front near Kielce. We'll move our infantry forward here. I can move the armor off the main road and they'll actually have a better time of it against this Polish armored unit because they're now on high ground. Move our artillery forward since we've outrun our air support. We'll move these guys forward. I'll take a risk that they're going to be in trucks and they might get shot to pieces a little bit. These guys don't have trucks, so they're going to just march north. Alright, we'll hit these guys. These guys are encircled. So we drove them back. Then we can attack here. Overrun them there. Move to this city. And so we've taken this objective in the north. It's not really an objective city, but I do want to make sure my flanks are secured and that they can't come in behind me and take any supply cities or things like that. So that was, I think, a good decision there. We'll move forward and try and shoot to pieces another Polish TAC air unit here to hopefully limit the damage that they might do to us. We've still got a strategic bombing unit here that we can move against other enemy troops, so we'll use it against these infantry here that are kind of astride our flank. Suppress them a little bit in the event they do decide they want to come out. I really need to take another airfield, so I really need to take this airfield up north to support my advance on Kielce. I may not be able to take the city at current, but with the 2 artillery, it might give us a better chance. We'll see. As we move forward to turn number 3. Victus, I don't think the issue with Italian healthcare is that it's bad. I think the issue with Italian healthcare is they're swamped. You know, most healthcare systems operate fairly lean. So when you have a situation where all of a sudden you've got to treat like thousands upon thousands of extra patients that you didn't plan for, then you have to do some triaging, and that's the reality of it. I don't know if you remember, there's the movie Pearl Harbor is not a good movie, but one of the scenes in it, I think, is actually pretty good, and that's where the attack has just occurred. There's a lot of wounded soldiers. They're trying to deal with the massive influx of soldiers and sailors who are hurt, and Kate Beckinsale's character is kind of going through, and she has to, you know, basically use lipstick to mark on the foreheads of the people of who's worth treating, you know, who's gonna make it and who can't they save, or who do they need to deprioritize. And in a situation where the healthcare system gets overwhelmed, unfortunately, those are the types of decisions that the Italian healthcare has to make. And so that's basically the situation that they're dealing with right now, is that, you know, this disease gives people pneumonia, and pneumonia, when it gets very bad, can require assistance with things like ventilators. And if you don't have enough ventilators, because 99% of the time you don't need them, you know, people don't stockpile things like that, and that's basically what's going on. Okay. No, Can, I'm just using an example of what essentially happens in situations like this. Is, you know, you have to... In situations like this, healthcare providers, unfortunately, are often forced to prioritize people with likely good outcomes and likely bad outcomes. And that's kind of how, you know, it gets decided on who gets what resources. It's horrible, but it's not like this is the first time that's ever happened. Usually things like war, though, are scenarios where it's, you know, more likely to occur. All right, so we are at the city of Kielce. Again, I don't know how quickly you have to take it. I'm not going to try and attack this turn because I won't succeed, but I will probably attack next turn. I should be able to bring artillery, 2 artillery batteries into range. I've already pounded them a little bit, which has reduced their entrenchments. I will attack with 2 infantry, an armor, and a armored car next turn as well. So that should help. Meanwhile, we've got these enemy anti-aircraft guns up here. 1 to 3, 1 to 2. So I'll go with 1 to 3 here. So we'll attack these guys. They're under strength too, which is interesting. And we drove them back. I won't be able to take the airfield this turn, but I will be able to take it next turn. So that's nice. I'll just go ahead and strategic bomb those guys, mainly just to help get experience for those aircraft. And I think that about does it for this turn. Still got this infantry down here and this armored car here. I don't want to attack with either of them right now because they won't have good outcomes. We can reinforce with those armored cars, though. We're also gaining more prestige than we're spending, which is good. The more prestige you can get, the better. Yes, Victus, this comes out on the 19th. Okay. Info. We did not capture kills quickly enough. The Polish have been able to mobilize reserve troops, which they will use to reinforce damaged units. Damn it! I needed one more turn! I wish it had told me. I don't understand why it doesn't tell you, like, oh, take it within 3 turns. Like, every other version, like, every other game like this would tell you that. That's frustrating. Alright, there's a little bit of anti-aircraft fire and support. I probably should have tried to knock it out first. Well, we can suppress it. Doesn't look like we can knock it out. Alright, 0 to 3. 0 to 1, we drove them back. So we took the airfield. Now we took this other Polish city where the enemy infantry moved out of. Alright, so we're bombarding the enemy with our artillery. That should be sufficient. I think they will fall. 3-5, 2-6. Oh, nice. These are engineers, so they're... or pioneers, so they're better at attacking cities. Move our infantry forward here. Drive them back. Move our armor around. We'll go ahead and attack this enemy infantry here. Wipe them out. We overran them. We can't get to the airfield over here, though, so we'll just follow on and attack against the enemy tanks or armored cars. We use our recon to attack these guys. We destroyed them. Nice. We'll move our armored car down here to take this airfield. And now we have a forward airfield on the flank of all the other objectives. This airfield is way more valuable than the airfield in the north. So that's good. And so what I'll actually do is I'll rebase these aircraft right away to this forward airfield so they're able to hit those targets next turn. So we move the strategic bomber and the fighters forward to this forward airfield. I don't think it's likely the Poles will be able to counterattack with anything. And so that should be a good result for us. We'll keep the armored car in the base for now. We'll move our artillery forward a little bit where it can. I think that's a good result. I'm guessing these guys will pull reinforcements now that the game is saying they can do that. But we'll see. Unfortunately, our Stuka already moved this turn. I can't rebase him. So we'll have to wait to do that till next turn. Alright, so they didn't even move this last turn, although they did do some reinforcements. Do I want to hit them? Probably, right? Let's take out this anti-aircraft battery. It's completely suppressed, so it won't hurt us at all. 1 health left. We'll move our infantry forward here and hit it. Destroy them. Our armor will attack this infantry, drive them into the river! Alright, we force them to surrender. That's good. And so now we'll begin the attack on the bridge here in the north next turn. Meanwhile, these fighters have already moved, or haven't moved, so we'll move them forward. So the only unit that hasn't moved forward yet is the Stuka, which is probably the best unit we have for attacking. Hey, Kushin. Yeah, streaming a little bit earlier than usual. It is a 3D image game. I think the maps and battles are a little bit bigger than Panzer Corps, in my opinion, at least. That's what it feels like. All right, so we'll move our recon car forward here to get a sense of what the enemy has. At the pullaway bridge, it looks just like 1 infantry unit. These guys are all not yet 100% efficient. You can see the yellow next to their name means they're basically, I don't know if they're suppressed, but they're not fully cohesive. So that's a good opportunity. Also, moving in from the south from Kielce kind of allows us to hit Radom on the flank, although pullaway will be on our other flank. I can move this armor forward here to hit the enemy artillery in the rear, which is great. Probably should have moved my artillery forward first, actually. To suppress them a little bit. We can also move this infantry forward here on trucks. They will get off their trucks, and so they won't be vulnerable to counterattack there. Do the same with our artillery. Well, they'll get close anyway. Move this infantry forward. There's no enemy troops that we've seen on the southern part of the battlefield, so I don't feel too at risk of doing that. We can use our fighters to strafe the artillery to hurt them a little bit more. We can move the strategic bombers in to hit these guys and kind of keep them suppressed or ineffective. These guys already moved over here. So that'll do it for this turn. Yeah, Wombat, I agree. There's a lot bigger sense of these scenarios. I will say, though, at times it does feel like the game gets a little bit bogged down and some of the battles are just too big. Better off failing anyway, more XP to farm. I don't know what you mean by that. Why would I fail? I wouldn't want to fail. But anyway, unless you just mean lose intentionally and keep the prestige and carry it. No, if you lose the scenario, the battle will end. The scenario will end. Anyway, we'll move forward to turn number 7 here. You can see the artillery's pounding that infantry of ours. They didn't do a lot of damage, though. They moved their own infantry around to attack. Our artillery fired in support for suppression damage, so they actually attacked these guys at a 1-to-1. They had a slight advantage in the attack, 4-3, but I think that was a very good result for us. Let's not forget about our Stuka back here. Let's go ahead and move it forward here to one of the forward air bases. We'll move it to this one in the north. This is a strategic airbase. You can see it's concrete runways, so it takes strategic bombers. Some of the smaller airfields, I don't think this one up here can take strategic bombers, but it can take fighters and tactical bombers, which is kind of a cool little thing. Let's deal with this enemy infantry. Well, actually, let's deal with this enemy armor or this enemy artillery first, so you can see we can attack it. We overran and destroyed that enemy artillery, so now there's no artillery that'll fire in support. We'll go ahead and deal with this enemy infantry unit here to the south of the city. Strategic bombing. Let's strafe this guy. I'd rather kill a unit than just suppress a unit. We overran them. Alright, let's attack here. We'll drive them back. Advance our infantry that way. Do we want to try and pound Radom itself? Bring our strategic bombers in here to do a little bit more damage. Four, 2, 2, 1. Alright, let's attack with our engineers. That may reduce their entrenchments a little bit. We did take some casualties there. Yeah, none of these look like good at... Oh, these guys can attack that bridge effectively, so that's probably a good idea. Okay. We'll hold off attacking there. Move that out over here. They could come out of the city and try and attack this armor, but I doubt they'll abandon an objective. That'd be pretty foolish, I think. Alright, let's reinforce these guys. It'll cost a lot, but I'll do elite reinforcements for both of these units. We've got the prestige to spare on it. And they've gained a fair amount of prestige, too. We'll move this infantry, well... 42... Alright, so we spent this turn mostly reinforcing. We've still got a bunch more turns. We're not even close to the end of this battle yet. Alright, so we'll end the turn. Move forward to turn number 8. Enemy infantry moved to try and attack our artillery in the woods there. They did some damage, but they're not very strong anyway. Eve Prey 23, thanks for the follow. Alright, so we should be able to finish these guys off pretty easily. I'm going to move this armor around. Move this infantry forward here. Move this armor around as well. We're going to use this small bridge here to flank them. I'm going to move my Stukas here to try and help finish off this infantry in the woods. Alright, we encircled them. We'll attack with this infantry. Hopefully we drive them back. We do. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So now I can bring my other air units forward here to maybe finish them off. Or maybe not. It gives me a 0 attack likelihood. My 0 success chance, my attack. Oh, well, we got him anyway. All right. That's why you don't want to take that perk that, or that debuff that removes your ability to outperform predicted results. All right, so we'll pound the city, rat them with artillery. 3 to 3, 2 to 3. They're still a bit dug in. We'll attack with the infantry. This is a supply city as well. So it's gonna, I mean, this is gonna be heavy casualties regardless for us when we attack. We drove them back. We took the city. We drove them out. Now we can strafe them afterwards, see if we can do any additional damage now that they're out. Well, we suppressed them. Move our recon cars back this way. Force them to run a little bit further. We can move the recon cars back. And then we can, next turn, we can attack this city here along the river. Vetek, thanks for the follow as well. All right, so that was a good result. Anything we didn't move yet? We could still attack with those guys, but that's about... No, actually, we still have more other units. So I'm going to move this artillery forward here because I want to get them in range. This artillery is going to stay back to attack the pullway bridge. My infantry's a little bit shot up. They could use a little bit of a breather. But I don't get the sense that there's like major or minor objectives at this point. We already kind of failed to take Kilis in time. Or Kils. Cur Brutus, yes, they sent out press access, and the embargo lifted at 3 in the morning today. So I do have early access to this. It is still a couple of days away from coming out. So I can take the airfield. That's actually probably a good idea, because if I take all the objectives, the scenario ends right away, as opposed to if I take the eastern objective first, then I can get this airfield, which isn't a primary objective, which gives me a little bit of extra prestige. It's a good idea there. We'll hit it with Stukas. We'll hit it with artillery. We'll attack with our armored car. We'll pursue with our tanks. And then we'll take the base with our infantry. Okay, so we just took both those bases. Good result there. They're down to 2 hit points. Try and strafe them as they run, see if we can do any more damage. Yeah, we did a little bit more damage. I don't think I can finish them off, though. Okay, so now we'll move our artillery forward. Let's pound these guys. Hit them with our armor. Nice. And then finish them off with our infantry. Alright, we now have this city encircled. Still have to do a bit of work to finish them. We'll finish this infantry unit next turn. Yeah, I'm going to be streaming the campaign. That's what we're doing right now. We're starting this first battle in the campaign. Alright, we'll strategic bomb these guys. I don't want to take unnecessary casualties, though. So I do think we'll probably hold off on actually attacking this city until next turn. I don't see any reason to wait. I don't know if you get extra prestige if you finish a certain number of turns early or not. The game doesn't really tell me. 5, 2, 6, 4. Schilschnitt in a previous stream. I did the North Africa campaign on a previous stream, and I did the northern... Oh, I did the northern attack for Poland in my last playthrough. France, I did both the attacks because I failed on one, and then I played it again, and it directed me down the other direction. Okay, so those guys are going to kind of stay put. I think we'll just end this turn. So if there's no extra prestige for finishing early, I mean, we might as well not finish early. Now, I do know reinforcing between turns is actually cheaper, so that's something to keep in mind. But we'll hit these guys with artillery. Stukas next, I think? Or would strategic bombers be better? Looks like Stukas are going to do more damage. Those guys, will hit them with strategic bombers, and we'll move our infantry in to finish them off. Since it's cheaper to reinforce between turns, I won't reinforce any of these troops. I'll let them be less than perfect. We'll attack with our infantry here. 0 to 6. Maybe they'll surrender. No, they'll retreat into the pocket. Oh, shit. Well, whatever. I shouldn't have advanced. I should have finished them off first. In any event, we win the battle. That was relatively easy. It was Poland South. We are playing on Colonel difficulty just because I didn't want to take, like, prestige penalties. Looks like you can actually change the difficulty mid-scenario, so we'll see. Some of the later scenarios get pretty difficult, and I just want to make sure that I'm not taking too big a prestige penalty early on and sort of ending up down a fatal funnel, kind of like I did in my first playthrough, where I had to kind of go back. Not that I don't want to have a chance to lose, but, like, I just want to make sure I'm playing at the right difficulty, and prestige is something that's always difficult for me to manage. So if the only difference between Colonel difficulty and the general difficulty is prestige, I don't really see the reason to take the penalty at this point. Between scenarios, Kushin. Sorry, it's cheaper to reinforce between scenarios. Now, I wish there was like a post-battle phase where I could go back onto the battle map and reinforce now, rather than have to go into the next battle to reinforce. But with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. We've won the first battle of the Poland campaign, 1939. We've won the Battle of Poland South. This is our first look at the sort of finished version, or nearly finished version, of Panzer Corps II. Panzer Corps II is published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. It comes out on March 19th, and we will continue this campaign and this playthrough for probably some time. This was taken from a live stream from my Twitch channel, but I plan to continue this as long as there's interest and as long as I'm enjoying myself, and I am enjoying myself so far with this game. So let me know your thoughts below. As always, guys, once again, thanks for tuning in for yet another episode on my channel, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.